Many fans who are in this shit.
Hello and welcome back to MDG Media. I'm Connor Wood and we are excited to be bringing you the continuation of the 2023 Nine Hill Open here from Talsi, Latvia. A unique and demanding course here at Devon Kalnu Disc Golf Parks. Really exciting as we have this end of the season tournament bringing the best from Europe together to compete. Sunshine is out, little bit of wind, and a great card that we have here for you today. A lot of different skill sets and nationalities represented. We see your leader coming into the second round. Local player Rainers Balodis had a hot first round and really set the pace, showed off his experience here on the course. And you can see 89% C1X putting, very solid on the green as well. Roland Kour, an exciting young player full of potential as we're seeing him grow into his best self really on the course year to year, putting on great performances and really crafty game, very well balanced, has all the skills to take it to the top. We see here joining us once again as well, Noah Smithson, great player out of the UK. Also very well rounded, has all the tools really, tight compact form, very poised, very balanced, and likes to shape his shots on the course. And we have making his MDG debut, Björn Marrandi, 973 rated player from Estonia, joining us here today for this round 2 front 9 MPO lead card action. As we see the standings, Rainers on a hot start, sitting at 8 under coming into the second round. Roland 4 strokes behind him at 4 under. Noah in third, Björn in fourth. It's a still, there's a bit of a lead for Rainers, but there's so much golf left to play. He's going to need to keep it up here. We kick it off on hole 1. A par 3, 125 meters. You see that early Mando tree on the right, forcing down the middle line with rough lining the left side and OB lining the right side the entire way. It is also slightly uphill. This one is a huge rip and a very difficult birdie to find given the dangers, accuracy, and power required.
Hey, Rainers Balodis.
This hole shapes most naturally for the backhand flex line for the right-handed player. They're going to be picking a fast driver, try to push something onto a high turning flight, and fade out at the end. Rainers getting our round 2 started here. And a good shot center fairway looks to have left him about circle 2's edge. He'll have an uphill putt. Roland now. Very smooth, a lot of snap on his form, and you see him put one, looks to be a touch more overstable on the disc selection, but a flatter release to compensate, and that is a great drive as well for him. Noah getting this early released, and you hear his own reaction. He knows it's not the line that he needs out of the hand, and he finds that early left rough. That will leave him a tough, obstructed line with considerable distance remaining up the hill. Par, certainly, still going to need some work. And here we see Björn. You see it find the turn as well as the fade, really pushing straight. A ton of distance as he crests all the way to that flattening near the top of the green. Very nicely done by Björn here, showing off his power and touch. You see what Noah is left with under the low ceiling. So difficult to get up the altitude of the hill, and he's up again here for 3. Getting that jump putt out there and effectively just laying up for the bogey, understanding that after the tee shot the error was in. And he's just going to minimize his danger. Björn as well with a soft bid. We see Roland now. And even with very solid drives, these guys left with tough lies. This is Rainers for the birdie. Roland with some distance left and great composure there. Really a make or break moment, not for the round, but for your confidence going into the round. To turn a birdie into a bogey on the first hole is tough. Noah, however, had the error on the first shot, and the putt sneaks out the left side for him. As he tried to play the safe play with the layup for bogey, unfortunately those compounding errors will leave him with a double here on hole 1, as we look to see a par from our other 3 lead card players. And although hole 1 is a very difficult birdie, it is fairly manageable to play for par. But you see the danger there of that left side early on. Plus, as always, the tricky greens. We are on to beautiful hole number 2, a par 4 at 133 meters. You have this initial gap between the trees to hit, sloping softly uphill. You need to hit both the width and the height correctly, controlling hyzer and nose angle. Once you punch out of the gap, you get into this open field where you have this basket perched atop a spine of the hill. Really tricky and really encourages a lot of players who aren't in the circle to just lay up, and can cause a lot of danger, particularly for those who like to spin putt. So really is a lot about decision making as well here on hole 2 once you make it to the green. We see an inside hyzer flip from Rayners there. And even gets the late glide. Looked to have been quite early, but he still pushes a significant distance out there. Roland here. A little bit wider, and he has pured that central gap. We'll see if he can push it straight enough before finding the fade. And he just gets around. That is a perfect spot and a great throw for Roland. Björn now. Certainly utilizing height a little bit more. And you see him fade out a touch early. Likely to be semi-obstructed, but I think still enough distance. Particularly, a lot of players will just try to throw a big spike hyzer to land on that hill green. We see Noah pushing a bit more turn out of his shot, and another fantastic position there. Out in the open, great distance over that path. That's really where you want to be. And of course, at 133 meters, there is the potential for an eagle, but you have to hit the gap. It's uphill. It's a long way away. And of course, the dangerous green. These guys are all going to try to chip one in and stick it. But Björn floats one well past it. Hard to think that he's going to be able to run that in a committed way for his birdie. We see a jump putt there from, I believe, Roland. Noah looking to shape the forehand just straight into the hill. And beauty. He's done just that, looking like a great bounce back opportunity after the double on 1. That's the best way to follow it, is just keep on trucking and collect your birdies. Here is Roland. Apologies, must have been Rayners earlier on the approach from the trees. And Roland still delivering that long distance step putt that we saw him display in round 1. Very proficient with that skill. So we see Rayners here for the birdie. Fantastic stuff. Hole 2, certainly one that you want to get. Hole 1 playing as 3.24 as a par 3. Hole 2 averages a 3.88 here in the second round. Certainly one where the birdie is findable at this short distance as a par 4. Roland sneaks that one over a laser beam putt, but just getting over the cage. Nicely done as those two men match the pace here. Our 2 leaders going par birdie on the first 2. And Noah back on track. Björn with a little bit of an unforced error on his approach, but still walking away, no damage done. Sitting tied with Noah currently in 3rd place. Here we are on hole 3, another slightly sloping uphill par 4, although this one at 208 meters. You see that initial shape requires a straight pushing with leftwards fading shot. These guys are going to pump one as far up the hill as they can, where they're then left with another big shot, looking to get around this bend in the trees, time their fade perfectly with likely an overstable driver. They're going to look to crash this tree line and hit this late gap that they're almost certainly going to be blind to. This one requiring a great trust and precision with your disc, understanding and controlling just how late in the flight it will fade left. A very interesting and demanding hole. And certainly one of the most difficult, given just how much it demands. Rayners with a great drive here. He goes out wide to the right that will open up his angle around the left on the second. Looks like solid distance as well as height to push up the hill. Roland getting his flipped up a little straighter than I think he would like, but should be just fine there. The more left you go off the tee, it also reduces the distance that you're going to have to throw on the second. Noah as well finds a nice spot there on the hill. Björn unfortunately catching those high branches. The ceiling not often coming into play on this hole, but certainly a possibility as shown there. Just gets a slightly high release and now walking uphill, trying to play the big hyzer. I think didn't quite push it as straight as he needed to, considering how far he was from that late bend to the left. Roland, though, looks like the wind is at his back. Looking to give this one a big pump up and around the corner. But unfortunately, that early release and clipping the branches pulled him into the left side rough. Noah with a chance now, playing it noticeably wider, and I think this is the intended line. If he can just get through those late guardians. And he in fact does not fade soon enough, getting it too straight. Something between Roland's and Noah's is that sweet spot. We'll see if Rayners here can find it. No, and that's also early release to the left. You can see the slope that they're on, especially when you're trying to do a power shot. The timing of the steps is different. Walking uphill can really compromise it. And given that they do need the distance, the standstill option definitely discourages that a little bit as we see the scramble game from the left side rough now. Getting caught very early. Back into the left. Hole number 3 doing some damage to our lead card here as they look to chip away at more distance. None of our players yet on the green. Still just trying to position themselves at the mouth to enter. Roland from here, if he can time the fade correctly, can at least see the gap that he needs to hit. And although he finds the tree, he has done just that, settles right outside bullseye. A fortunate result from him there, although it's more common to hit a tree than not when throwing into that thick green. Björn with a nice delivery there on the forehand. Noah now, his third shot here, just to position himself for a good par. He too finds the trees as the backstop and settles softly. Rayners finding a little bit of late stability to his flight. I think he did not want that to flex out at the end, but certainly still manageable for him here. You can see just dead on, a little bit high and a little bit fast. Didn't quite modulate the pace on that shorter distance putt. A sigh of relief from Björn there for that bogey save. This hole, in fact, did average a 5. One of the most difficult holes on the course, without a doubt. 4 taking par here is a stroke on the MPO field. So Noah finding that nicely. with both Rainers and Roland getting caught up on the left side. We see Rainers with the double, Roland and Björn with the 5, Noah taking the lone par and the box here for the next hole. Here on hole 4, a par 3, 80 meters, we continue the theme of an uphill shot. A lot of players will look to try and hit this tunnel with a hyzer flip using some significant understability, both to hit an extremely straight line and not require too much width, but also to fight that nose-up angle they're going to be forced to throw in order to make it to the pin. But at only 80 meters, certainly an attackable hole where you can find the birdie. Noah with a very early release. I think fortunate to not kick the immediate trees. I believe he at least got through that first gap. Hopefully he doesn't have too much in his way on the second, but yet to be seen. Roland shaping that beautifully right down the middle. Well done. That should net him the birdie. He's just outside bullseye. We see Björn once again leaning on the forehand. Some smooth angle control as he gets that flipped almost to flat. Quite a flare off the skip. Looks like he hit a root or potentially a stick. But he's also certainly up there. Rainer's going for the most traditional line. Slightly understable, glidey disc and dead straight. Just a beautiful shot he crafted right there. A pitch out for Noah. Did not get through as well on the first as it may have seemed from that initial camera angle, but well done for him to get back to the fairway and up to the green. Another situation where after the tee shot, that's pretty much best case scenario. It did not look like he had any chance, although this is still not an easy putt and just a heartbreaker as he hits the band and rolls away to a similar distance but obstructed. He asks, is it still me? As he now crouches below the branches and fires one in. Finds the double bogey save. Honestly, it's a great putt, all things considered. Björn, a great birdie putt for him there as he straddles out wide. He finds his first of the round, putting himself back to even. Both Roland and Rainers right up there, battling for this lead position here. These two guys beginning to separate from Björn and Noah, fighting currently for that third place. Roland and Rainers trying to match each other's pace as we see both of them go birdie over par on hole 3 and birdie on hole 4. An exciting battle here. Hole 5, par 3, 82 meters, double mando, you have to hit the gap. This is a great hole. It's going to test players' touch, nose angle. It's more of a straight shot than it may look, particularly for the backhand, because of that slightly right to left slope and downhill. A lot of these players are going to move left simply by virtue of the slope beneath them fading out. Their disc will have a little bit more room to fly as they swing on in. Another great and attackable hole. A lot of these guys are going to prioritize hitting the gap and then hoping they just find some late stability or potentially ground play. Roland, I believe, did make it through the mando, hitting the right tree. It looks as if he kicked forwards, although we'll see where his lie is. Björn doing a great job there. Dead center down the gap. As I said, a pretty straight shot that nets him a fantastic position. Looks to be mid C1 for his birdie. Rainer's here playing a nice hyzer. And that came in hot to the cameraman. Saved by the tree. Great result for Rainer's considering the speed. And Noah unfortunately just not quite finding the timing today has had a series of early or late releases, and he's not pleased with that one. Roland from the drop zone. He did not successfully make it through the Mando. Along with Noah, both of them finding that right side. Both able to deliver a lethal jump putt up there. Great control. Rayner's a bit of work left for his birdie, but he translates a great capitalization of that opportunity there. We saw his disc coming in very fast. And just like that, he's back to under par despite the double bogey on 3. Has had 3 birdies throughout his first 5 holes. Rayner's really not letting that tough hole get to him. Björn as well beginning to string them together now. Has found himself with 2 in a row. With both Roland and Noah going to be tapping in for their bogeys here. Here we are on hole 6, a 91-meter downhill par 3 with an extremely narrow fairway, shaping most naturally for a late flipping hyzer flip or a soft flex, really up to the player's preference. The priority is ensuring that they hit this gap straight, slide on up. Particularly going downhill, they're going to want to try and hit the floor somewhere between the bridge and the podium of the basket. Try to slide on up. You really don't want to be chain high going past the basket here. So it's really another great display of nose angle and speed control. And Björn sneaks that one through the inside. Absolutely parked. Well done. We go to Rayner's now. And we saw the difference there. Rayner's looking to go with that more of that flex line and gets one of the worst breaks, although did not look to have kicked too far into the rough. Has effectively not really made any significant distance up the fairway. Roland shaping it exactly as I described. Straight down the middle, hits the ground between the bridge and the podium, and slides on up. That is textbook from Roland. And textbook from Noah Smithon. Hits the pin. Smooth delivery from both of those guys there, showing you exactly how hole 6 should be thrown off the tee. And Rayner's with a great scramble, gets a lot of distance. He's found himself something at least. This elevated basket might bite him back here, but if he wants this, he has a chance. And although he misses it, this is still a salvageable putt here, and well done. From that tee and that kick down and right early, I think bogey is not particularly bad. Second shot looking really good for Rayner's with the scramble, as we see both Roland and Noah right up there in or around bullseye along with Björn. Shout out to Björn, who has 3 in a row now. Really finding his rhythm. And Noah as well. Solid bounce back once again after some tough holes previously. Here you see hole 7, a par 5. It says 198 meters, but you see this is steeply uphill. Players will throw towards that Mando tree, forcing them around this bend. You have a tight bend back to the left going downhill. The second tunnel ends as we begin this third tunnel. The fairway once again slowly begins to bend left, straight through these trees, with that late gap and late guardians, as well as a sloped green to contend with. This hole is an absolute monster to try and navigate. Great shot there. I love the commitment to the anhyzer from Björn to ensure he gets right of the Mando, opening up that angle back to the left. And Roland kicks off the Mando tree. Looks to have quite a fortunate result there. And Noah continuing with the timing and release troubles off the tee. At least he kicked right rather than left. That will be in his favor. And Reyners as well, not quite getting the anhyzer. We saw in comparison Björn release flat to a soft anhyzer, where those other guys look to be turning something over. We see Noah try and cut the corner, came up a touch short of an open spot in the fairway. Reyners just one tree in his way on that line, and he does find it. Roland looking to shape a flex forehand here around the edge. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Those first and second shots from Roland just pinpoint.
The best forehand I've ever thrown.
We'll see if he can hit that third and find the elusive birdie. You can see he's pleased with it. That was an amazing shot. As Reyners continues to find trees, certainly was looking to get aggressive there. Some sort of high line he was hoping to manufacture. Björn in a solid spot, shaping the flex forehand as well. And he is right up there with Roland. Both of those young men playing this hole so far perfectly. Hole 7 averaged a 5.41 here in round 2. Very dangerous for the field. We see Reyners at least back into center fairway with that one. Still a lot of distance, but this should be sufficient to try and get down this last tunnel. And he's found himself what looks to be about circle's edge. Certainly with a putt. Noah going with a line less familiar to us, going to spike hyzer it over the trees into the green rather than hit the gap. And unclear how close he got. Took the risk. We'll see if he found the reward. Roland looking to go 3 for 3 on perfect shots. Sends that one a little bit long. But to have the birdie putt here on 7 really speaks volumes. Björn as well, looking to put this close to secure a birdie putt. And that is not going to flex in time to sit down. He sends himself just long of the tree. Both of those men going to have an obstructed putt from behind that late guardian. You see Noah just did not swing left enough on his hyzer approach. And that putt towards the downhill finds a bit of extra distance off the roll. Might leave him questioning the height of that putt. And fantastic birdie make by Björn Marrandi. 4 in a row. Just on fire. Really nicely done. Off the knee, under the low ceiling. We'll see if Roland can match it. Both of them identical throughout the hole until that point. Really playing the same landing zones and the similar lines the whole way. Solid putt from Noah. And a good bogey save. Reyners here. Cashes out the left side and is going to be taking quite a big number here on 7. Your current leader, he's 3 strokes ahead of Roland. But unfortunately there takes the 7. Leaving Roland just 1 stroke behind now. And Björn, look at that, closing the gap, coming in 4th place. Currently in 3rd, just a few strokes away from Roland in 2nd now. Here you see hole 8, a par 4 at 197 meters with OB lining the right side the entire way. These players are going to need to push a straight to rightwards finishing shot. The further right you can get, the easier the upshot, but what's really important is just positioning yourself in the fairway around the bend, opening up this shot for you here, where you want to try and hit this very narrow entrance to the green. Those logs available to catch your disc if you're accurate enough to find them, but really requiring a placement shot and then a precision power shot on the second. A great hole. No surprise, Björn leaning on that forehand, but that's very inside. He flipped it up just enough to navigate perfectly through that late gap. I thought he was a touch inside, but you saw a good amount of speed and turn on that disc. For players not so comfortable with that big power forehand hyzer, the understable mid-range, potentially fairway to try and go really high and really any, is there, but you see the danger from Roland playing with that understability. You need to time the turn and fade so precisely that it's just simply a harder line. Noah, playing similarly to round 1, tries to fade left off the tee and open up his second shot. Could potentially just be playing this hole for par. Rayners with a great forehand as well. A perfect tee shot from your leader, Rayners. Balodis looking to bounce back after trouble on the last 2 for him. Gave up a significant portion of his lead. And Noah looking to bomb that one. That is the disadvantage of fading left, is that you have more distance on the second and therefore need to throw harder. You might be compromising a little bit of accuracy while doing so. We saw Roland there. With that OB stroke, he'll be throwing his 4th from that lie where we saw his disc fall. Still not quite yet into the green. Björn catching something on his way, but likely going to have a long putt. Rayners just a perfect drive. Now left with the upshot. Coming up just shy. Although he's showing he's very aggressive on the green. And Roland. Great speed control on that one. Finds the ground and settles quickly. Noah smooth as well. Just matching the height of that hill perfectly to crest it and then catch an edge. Not as easy as those two guys made it look from where they were. Björn getting quite ambitious there on that downhill putt. Really went for that nicely. Great to see a confident bid. Rayners as well wanting that. Unfortunately not finding it. Björn stares that one in, makes sure it finds the heart as his birdie streak comes to an end, but very solid front nine so far. Excited to see him for the remainder of the round, if not to the end of the tournament. Unfortunate miss from Roland. Noah, all business there on that one. Hole 8 averaged a 5 for reference. We see here 2 pars, a bogey, and a double. Pretty decent representation of the difficulty of that hole, even for some top players. Here we are on hole 9. Par 3, 115 meters uphill. You have OB lining the left side the entire way, the trees and the rough on the right. These players are going to be forced to throw a big bomb and try to hit this late gap up on the hill. Anything that gets through this gap will normally provide you some sort of putt. Of course, players are going to want to pierce through with speed, but even if you catch some of those branches, as long as you remain in bounds on this close green, you'll give yourself a look. Although, once again, a very difficult hole to birdie. Björn up first. And some great ground play there. Finds the gap and skips on up to a chance. Rainer's going high forehand hyzer, looking to flip that one up and swing it in. And he catches just in time. A great shot, showing off his power and accuracy on the forehand. What looked to be mostly hyzer. I'm sure going that nose up with, he had some understability in his disc choice, but Noah hates that from the hand, but it's a completely reasonable result. I'm sure not his intended line, but a great result there. Finally catches a little bit of a kind break from the course. Roland as well. All four of these guys are up there on the green putting, although none of them have easy putts. Noah up first. Sends it and skims the cage. Does find some metal. Roland steps that one as well. And Björn as well. You see a little bit of wind here. Looking like headwind putting downhill, likely a crosswind for Reiners. And off the pole. The crowd cheers for it, just dead center. It bounces back out towards him. Putting with spin is particularly helpful in the wind, so some players will choose to apply more spin and more speed to be less affected by the wind, but unfortunately too much spin and speed for Reiners there on what looked to be a fantastic birdie putt. Unfortunately, he will walk away with the par here. This is a tight race. As we close out the front nine and take a look at the standings, Reiners currently sitting at +2 for the round, still in his solo lead position. With Roland in second, 3 strokes behind him, Björn has taken the seat in third at 3 under so far through the front nine. And we see a series of players, including Noah, tied for 4th currently. So we've now reached the halfway point of the tournament. We are excited to be bringing you 27 more holes of action here at the Nine Hill Open. We appreciate all of you joining us. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you would like to support European disc golf coverage further, you can find us on Patreon, where we will have exclusive content coming soon. We appreciate all of you, and make sure to catch us on the back nine.